Welcome to another week of On the Couch with Dan and Dane, and today we're actually going to talk about the age-old question of redraw versus offsets. And I know a lot of people are going to go like, oh, it's just this, but there is a range of different things that can affect. Dan's going to start off with a couple, and I'm going to talk about
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it used to be like, I don't know what it is, but it's become really topical at the moment to get back and have this conversation about it.
Yeah.
And there's really, you almost see the divide and it becomes a big argument.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand the argument because if you put your money in a redraw versus you put your money in the offset, at the end of the day, the interest that you save because of those two functions is exactly the same. Yeah. It's not like a redraw has a superpower that an offset account doesn't have. Yeah. It's just that they provide two different functions. And believe it or not every single lender actually provides those two options. Some will be, I don't have offset accounts, I've only got a redraw. Yeah. And if you go to, I wanted that lender, I wanted Bank C to be the lender for me, but they don't have an offset. That should not change your decision to go to that bank because you can perform exactly the same functions most of the time by using a redraw as you would for an offset. Yeah. It's just that the offset affords you just that normalcy. Yeah. It's almost a normalcy of a bank account that you're used to, right? You get your debit card and you're like, I'm going to pay for this at the fuel station. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's a real normal feeling for most people out there to have an offset account versus redraw. It changes the way you operate very, very slightly, but can have exactly the same effect on that.
Yeah. Offsets can give you a little bit of an edge though, right? Yeah. By having money go directly in there, and it allows that sort of flexibility.
Yeah, 100%.
But as you said, the net effect is really minute.
Yeah, if you've got a huge lump sum of cash, if you stick it in your offset versus stick it in your redraw, end state exactly the same.
100%, right? Man. So a big one for me, and I'm not saying this is a bugbear or anything like that, is when money goes into your offset account, it does not reduce your repayments. Yeah. Okay, so that's a big one. It's kind of like, I was trying to think of an analogy to before, but that's probably going to be awful. If you're trying to drink a glass of water and every time you put the cup back down, someone's pouring a little bit of water in, and that's the interest effectively, right? Is that interest or water going in is a smaller amount each time, then you're going to finish that cup quicker, right? So your repayments are the same, but they're not putting as much interest back in. So the net effect is that you're going to pay your loan off quicker by having your money sitting in an offset account. If, for example, you're there going, hey, look, my repayments, like this is, we start off, we're both working, now we've got mat leave coming up and it's just going to be one income, all that sort of stuff. You might look at, hey, look, we might put our money into our redraw, evaporate that cash, lower our loan amount, therefore looking at how we can flatten that repayment, right? But the bank's not silly, right? They're not going to go, oh yeah, well that's sweet. It's going to flatline out still for that 30 years, right? So you're still going to be getting charged interest and all that sort of stuff, but your repayment, so your discretionary income, you're going to free a little bit up. Okay, so it's very much when you are looking at those sort of options of redraw, money and offset, look at within, look at yourselves. Hey, like where are we sort of sitting? Are we able to put a bit of money into there and smash this mortgage off quicker? Or I am going to come up to a position where we're going to be, we're going to be reduced a little bit from an income wise. I want to look at how I can just make sure that we still have the money to go do the things we want to do and we're not smashing 2-minute noodles every night because I don't know how to set that up.
Yeah, okay? Absolutely. I suppose one of the other ones that you think about is you can have an offset account and a redraw on the same loan. So remembering back to the good old days of 2%, right? Everyone wanted to fix their interest rate down to 2%. Yeah. And that's all good because there's probably other things you can do with your cash. But you could still have a redraw. And a lot of those loans you would have seen also had you could make up to $10,000 worth of additional repayments every single financial year into your redraw. So it wasn't in an offset, but you were still having that same effect of where you were really chunking down that mortgage at the same time as you had the benefit of those 2% interest rates.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Ludicrous, mate. Give me back those 2% interest rates, right?
What were we all thinking?
Yeah, no, mate. I should have fixed my loan for 25 years.
Oh, if only that was an option.
Exactly.
But people were still waiting for the interest rates to go lower back then.
Yes, they were. Everyone thought that they were going to keep going down.
Crazy time. Yeah. All right, my man, any more points on this one?
No, mate. I think at the end of the day, choosing your offset or your redraw comes down to your individual circumstances. Yep. And this is why you don't sit there and say, I've got a mortgage with the CBA and I'm going to stick with them because I had a Dolomites account and I'm never leaving for the next 30 years. Yeah. Use your broker. Yeah. Use your broker and say, hey, mate, this is the circumstance that we got going on. Please, what are my best options? Should I use a redraw? Should I use an offset? Do I need to refinance? All of those things come
Yeah.
into an annual review that you should be doing with your broker to make sure you've got the right circumstances for you.
Yeah, structure is paramount. All right, that's it for this week. See you next week on the couch.